Hey guys, it's Mark from Erickson Machine. I've had a bunch of guys asking me some questions about honing, wanting to do it at home, stuff like that. So I really wanted to go over it, stuff you can do at home, stuff that you should really think about leaving to a machine shop, stuff like that. So let's get started. Alright guys, so if you take a second, please smash the like button, hit subscribe, share the videos. We're really trying to push for this year to hit 10,000 subscribers, which the year will end up being in June. So, we got 8 months left, something like that. So please help us out with that. It'd be greatly appreciated. So, honing. First of all, if you're going to hone a cylinder, whether it's with a ball hone, or a rigid hone, the first thing you want to own is a bore gauge. If you don't own a bore gauge, there's no reason to touch any of these other tools. So you don't know how many times I have customers that call me up that say, oh, I want my cylinder ported, it doesn't need to be honed, it doesn't need to be bored, it's perfectly fine, I have perfect hone marks, stuff like that left on the cylinder. That really doesn't mean anything. It has to be measured and it has to be matched to the piston. If it's not, you're going to have headaches. Same thing with ported cylinders. I tell people, unless it's a fresh motor, a couple hours, you want to do a fresh top end on it. One, when you're grinding in the ports, if the burr bounces and skips across the cylinder, it doesn't matter because you're machining it. Two, it's kind of like a set of tires. Are you really going to use an old set of tires and put, a new drag motor in the car with a worn out set of tires? You're not going to go anywhere. Same thing with pistons. You want a fresh bore that's perfectly round, so on and so forth to get started. So that's the first thing. Now, on to hones. You'll see these 3-leg hones in the auto parts store. These, in my opinion, I'll say my opinion, for 2-strokes are junk. There's no reason to own one of these things. Honestly, even with 4-strokes, I think they're junk. So if you're going to try to clean up your cylinders at home, as I said, first you want a bore gauge so you can check that you're still in spec. Because anytime you're honing something, you're actually removing metal. So you want to make sure there's metal left to be removed. If you're already worn out and you're at the far end of the spec or over it, honing it's going to make the problem worse. So the rings aren't going to seal, you're going to get blow by, and you can actually break the skirts of the pistons. All things you don't want to do. Now, if you do want to do it at home and you don't want to spend a lot of money, your best bet is to go with a ball hone. So, which these are also known as deglazing hones. These work really well because not only do they give your bore a fresh crosshatch, they also chamfer your ports. Works really, really well. They're pretty cheap. You can pick them up for, $40. The downside is it's got to be a specific size. So, it's normally, I don't know, around 5 millimeters you get. So you have to buy the specific one for the engine you're working on. But, if you work on all the same size jet skis, most jet skis, are around 700, 800 cc. Most use around the same ball hone. So that's that. Now the next thing would be going up to a rigid hone. So, which this is my Van Norman honing machine, but this machine uses an AN, Sun and AN style hone. Now, let me move this over here. You can buy the handheld version of this, and you can use this with a drill. Works great. The thing with these, one, technically, if you get one of these and you know what you're doing, you can go up a size in a cylinder, no problem. So you could go from 81 to 81.25, without an issue. If you know how to do it correctly, you can keep the bore round and you're good to go. The big thing with AN hones, you need multiple stones. So what I mean by that, so this is a Polaris ported cylinder I'm doing, which is why if you notice the stones in here have 2 stones on each and dual wipers on each segment. So this is so it doesn't catch in the port. You know, a standard stone and wiper is like this. This is a standard AN. Here's a stone and there's the wiper. By running these in 2 strokes is really the right way to do it. You never catch a port, you never snag it. Much better finish. But for these smaller bores, I have a coarse set, a medium set, and then a fine set. Same over here. These are for the larger cylinders. Coarse, coarse, medium, fine. And when you go into the others, coarse, medium, fine. So as you can see, if you're going to hone cylinders, it's not one set of stones. You know, the bummer with 2 strokes is to do it right. You know, these stones are, you know, $25 a set. These can be $50 or $60 a set. So it does add up quickly, but you can do a whole bunch of cylinders with each one. You know, and then on top of it, then I finish them off with these brushes, which finishes the hone off as a plateau hone, sorry. And the benefit with doing that, so I ended up using 3 different sets of stones, a ball hone after I chamfer it, and then those brushes, and that's what I finish each cylinder with. By doing that, you end up with a perfect surface finish. The benefit to doing that is the rings seal almost instantly and have the best life. So I'll be doing a video soon which will be showing this and showing why you use the different stones. And I'm going to be doing it with my new profilometer. So this actually has a tiny little point. I don't know if you can just focus. Okay, it won't focus. But this actually goes through and it measures the small scratches in the bore. So you can end up getting the perfect surface finish. You know, and this is the real way to do it. There's no guesswork. You know it's dead nuts on the money, perfect. So, but that's going to be in another video. So let me get started honing. I'll show you how I do a hole, and you guys get an idea what's going on. All right, guys. So let's get started. We're going to start off with the coarse stones. So right now the cylinder is at right around 0, so the exact size of the piston. We're using WSM cast pistons on these. We're going to set it right around 4 thousandths. So with these, we'll end up taking off 1 thou. We'll take off 2 with the medium stones. We'll then chamfer it. We'll use a ball hone to deburr the chamfer. We'll take off the last 1 with the fine stones, and then we'll use the brushes. So let's get started. Now, one thing, I actually had a guy ask on one of my other videos, he heard it squealing a little bit. So when you are honing a cylinder, depending on the stones used, sometimes they will screech a little bit. Normally that screeching is actually the aluminum wiper. You end up grinding off a little more of the stone than the wiper, so it makes some noise. What I was taught to do is constantly swap them. So when you set them down, swap the upper and the lower. Same with these, so that way everything wears evenly. By doing that, a lot of time it cuts it down, but the finer the stone, the more squealing you can get. As long as you're not getting a chatter in the finish, that's not a problem. Almost at one. Perfect. So now step up to the next stone. So as I said, what I'll end up doing is you end up swapping them. So these were in this way, I'll flip them this way. These were like this, and this time I'll leave them the same. So by constantly swapping the direction, they wear evenly. Because what can end up happening is if you keep them all in the same position, you can end up wearing them real funny. Is this one? I might have a funny worn set. You can't really see. I don't know if you can see, but this set is worn kind of in a ramp. And these, which have shorter stones, people ask, if you have a cylinder that's either barrel shaped, so it, you know, it bellies out in the middle, let me see, bellies out like this, or hourglass, you use a smaller stone so you can stay in the affected area or get away from the affected area better. You know, if you have a full stone, it's hard to get out of the middle area. With a half stone, you can get out of that area in the travel with that little segment missing. It's normally, you know, on larger stroke engines than something like this. The other thing you want to be really careful of, you know, although you saw the coarse stone taking a little bit of time, you know, that put really deep scratches in, okay, like this. Now we go with the finer stone and it cuts the peaks off. So you can actually very quickly remove a good amount of metal with the next size stone. So what mistakes some people do when they're just learning, they go, oh man, it just took me 15 strokes with the coarse stone to take off, you know, 1,000, let's say. And then they put the new one, oh, I gotta remove 2, let me do 15 strokes, and then they check and they've taken off, you know, way more than they should have. So you know, just pay attention to that. Now, if you notice, I'm checking in multiple spots, and that's to make sure that the bore isn't getting egg-shaped. Start chamfering. 3, 3, 3. On the money. All right, so now we're going to bring this over to the bench and we're going to chamfer it. Flip her upside down, let some oil run out. Alright, so I'm going to use a diamond burr tool. You don't want to use a carbide burr. So all we're going to do is lightly break the edges. Go. I'm going to flip it over. Everybody asked me about this stand. So this is a CC Specialties porting stand. Honestly, if you buy one, you'll never go back the other way. It's really one of the best porting investments I've ever made. And I don't get any help from CC Specialties. I just talk about them because they sell a bunch of the stuff I use. Just letting you guys know. But if CC Specialties is listening, you guys are welcome to send me some free stuff. There we go. Another step. So you can use a diamond burr, go around. You can use a deburring tool like this and go around. Or this, which does a great job as well. So now, let's put this back. Alright, so now we're within 1,000. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to use the ball hone, which is now going to chamfer and deburr the chamfer we just did. And help smooth it a little better. There we go. Always use oil. So if you're going to do this at home, the easiest, cheapest way to do it is to just get automatic transmission fluid. Go in both directions, so you get, you know, both sides of the port that you're cleaning up. So now all we have to do, put the fine stones in. That was the squealing I was talking about that the one person had asked me about. That noise is fine. It's just the aluminum wiper. All the way around. Smidge under 4. So now what we're actually going to do, we're going to let it sit for a couple minutes. Actually, it really doesn't have temperature, but I let it sit for a minute or so it normalizes, because what can end up happening is when you're honing, the cylinder can build up heat and can expand just a little bit. Then after you clean it, you go and check it one last time for the measurement, and all of a sudden you notice you're a smidge tight, and that's what it is. So it's better to let it normalize for a minute and then go back to it. All right, we're going to give it the last touch now. Four. On the money. All right, so now last thing we got to do is hit it with the brushes. Now there's two ways to do it with these. You can use this style brush, or you can use this style brush. Both work the same and do the same thing. I actually don't know if I'm going to be able to use these brushes for this cylinder. They might be a smidge too big. Yep, yeah, these aren't worn in enough yet. There we go, one last pass. And it falls out. Perfect. So now basically all that brush is doing is removing the small cracked pieces of cast iron from the hone. So, but let's see if you can see in there. Nice, perfect hone finish. Ready to make some power. So, as always guys, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you guys need any of this work done, feel free to hit us up. Erickson MAP@gmail.com, and all the links are below. So, have a good day, guys.